and welcome to the Old Man Orange podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunnigan.
And it's Monday night, and you know where you are. What's going on? Like, hey, we're gonna pump you up for this fucking show. But yeah, we come back to you in a big bad way, because it's still Mario May. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about there. Mario fucking May.
Oh, I know. Yeah. No, this is, and this one's, it's kind of reaching for it to be Mario May in a sense, because there's probably other things we could have done, but at the same time, looking at this, like, well, back in the 80s, this was a big deal, and this was different. Now you kind of think about this thing, and you're like, that's the thing that happened, okay, but thinking back on it, it had to be a very different, weird kind of idea for the time.
Oh yeah, totally like a ballsy choice and whatnot. And you know, it's just that 1989's The Wizard. Pretty much the game, it's like, I like how they sold it. Like, it's like fucking Karate Kid, but you know, with video games and shit.
Or it's even kind of like Rain Man, but they're kids in their video games.
Yeah, well, that's what I always felt. It always felt like very Rain Man-like, where it's like, you know, you got this brother and you got a kid. Even though this kid's kind of like, he's technically not retarded. He just had a very traumatic life incident where, like, his sister, or twin sister, not even just a sister, a twin sister, fucking drowned in, like, 5 foot of water in front of him, and there was nothing he could fucking do.
There's that. Well, the thing is, you look at the poster to this movie, and it looks like you're in for a fun, wacky, video game-filled time. And then it opens up, and this movie's like a hard... I mean, it's not like R-rated or anything, but it's a very, like, serious drama for, like, the first, like, 15 to 20 minutes of the movie before they're like, oh, yeah, video games, whatever. And then eventually goes in like, no, yeah, fucking video games. And then it slowly kind of becomes a kid's movie as it progresses up forward.
Well, yeah, no, that's kind of the thing I was thinking about. It's like, I pulled this movie out of, like, my DVD collection, and it took me a moment to find it, and I was like, oh, it's in the comedy section. That's where I had it. And then watching it, I'm like, this is really not a comedy at all. This is totally, like, a drama that just for some reason I happen to have in the comedy. I think it's that just, you look at it, and it feels like, oh, it's a fun family fare. Like, you know, we're gonna have a good old time with video games and whatnot. But then you're kind of like, oh no, it's about like a fucking kid who witnesses a tragic family moment and has to find grief in it by, you know, California, where? He's out there fucking like on the road, like, just like, I'm just gonna fucking walk from Utah. Fuck you, Mormons. I got my lunch pail. And then the police officer's just like, oh, there's the fucking boy. I love how there's like a plane comes down. Plane flies like 100 feet above this kid's head. Like, yeah, that's the fucking kid.
Well, they're probably like, well, what else would we use this plane for? We don't have anything else going on over here other than maybe the occasional wildfire. So, like, we got to make use of this plane as much as we can before the state gives us more shit.
Yeah, exactly. Like, come on, go take that plane out, you know what I mean?
The guy who gets to ride the plane, that's going to be the happiest day for him. Like, he probably has nothing going on. Like, Phil, yeah? Like, you got to drive the plane. Like, oh, boy, there's a lost kid. Okay, just already out the door.
Yeah, exactly. Or it could be even worse if it was like, there's that George Clooney show it was only like 5, I guess not really a show, it was more like a mini-series or whatever. It was that World War II one, the one where the guy was, I'm drawing blank on what it was, but it was the one where like the guy was like kind of like being a little bit of a bitch about flying in his fucking bomber plane. Like, my grandpa never fucking complained about going out and flying missions. What's your fucking problem? And this guy was
I don't think I know that one, but I could see it being one of those HBO miniseries or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was a Hulu one or something like that, because it was really short. It was like 4 or 5 episodes and whatnot, and it was just this thing where the guy tried to get, it was called Catch-22, and he just tried to get out of flying the bombing missions. You know, and I mean, granted, every single time he got to the point where it's like, okay, 15 missions and you can go home. Then they'd be like, well, I guess we got to do 20 missions now. Oh, now it's 25. But he was the one.
Sorry, we just rounded up. That's all that happened.
Yeah, but he was the one guy who's like, good, how do I get out of this? He tried to keep going to, like, the nurse's station and whatnot. But there's literally a part where a guy's, like, they're out swimming on a dock in, like, Italy or North Africa, wherever they are. And they're like, hey, look at Jimmy's flying above us. And then he does another pass. And they're like, oh, shit, Jimmy's coming in a little close. And it fucking just tears a guy to pieces and fucking blood and guts go everywhere. Like, he thought he was being funny by flying low. And then he was like, oh, kill my buddy. And then just literally flies and crashes into a wall. It was just like, oh, I didn't expect that to happen. I'll say that was probably the most interesting part of the movie, or the whatever it was. But
so that doesn't happen in The Wizard, but
just saying if it did. But that guy
if the kid
really
got knocked off by that
kid.
If the little kid got knocked off with the propeller first few minutes in, like, oh damn, wasn't expecting that. That kid was on the cover, wasn't he? Yeah, he was. Well, he only got one word out before he died. California.
Oh shit. I killed a boy. I'll kill a little boy. Flies the plane off, like
Farrell
crashes
flying the
into
plane.
fucking like Mount Zion somewhere.
Colin Farrell was flying the plane. So, so basically this kid is always walking out and always just walking, spoilers ahead for the wizard, but this kid's basically always walking out and just walking down the road, and his parents are divorced, but it's one of those things well, it's not even his, it was a little confusing. Like, this is like the dad, I guess, there's new dad,
And then there's Bo
and
Bridges'
he's
dad.
just what?
And then there's Bo Bridges' dad.
Bill Bridges' dad. And Bill Bridges isn't
Bo
even
Bridges.
like his, what?
It's Bo Bridges.
Bo Bridges. He's not even the kid's father. He had the kid after the fact, like, or something like that, right?
No,
He
no,
was,
no,
like,
no.
some-
The Christian Slater and Bo Bridges and whatnot. That father, that's the father of all these children and stuff. And then there's like new yuppie dad, who's the wife. Like, I think it's just what makes it confusing. There apparently was another wife that we never see. She gets divorced. Bo Bridges gets married again to, and I think in that first wife he has Christian Slater and Fred Savage. And then the second wife, which is the wife we do see, that's where he has the twins. And it sounds like it's almost like one of those ones. It doesn't really explain, but it seems almost like after that fucking the twin daughter dies, it's almost like shit just kind of falls apart and they sort of separate. They don't hate each other, but they're on their own kind of paths now. And then of course there's like, yes, there's 80s yuppie dad who's the new father. He's like, and I have to take care of this little rascalian, and so I'm just gonna send him off to a mental hospital because I don't know what to do. He just stacks blocks all day long. I don't understand.
He always like saying California, stacking blocks. I don't get it. I understand. I'm not paid to understand, so I'm just gonna send him to the. And the mom's like, okay, whatever. I mean, I don't want to do it, but I guess that's what we're doing. I guess. And then like
She's like,
you see-
BMW or my son? I guess the BMW.
It's a hard. Well, no, it's not a hard choice, but
It's not.
yeah, there you go.
It's not hard. He's
feel-
he's kind of retarded. I mean, like he's 80s retarded. Let's say that.
Well, it's one of those things. Well, funny thing, when this movie came out, they didn't even make a thing of. They didn't really want to say that it's implied it's autism, but they didn't really want to flat out say it was autism because of Rain Man. They didn't want to get compared to Rain Man, so that was apparently one of the reasons for that. But from there,
Well, I was gonna say
that's
really
what.
quickly. I actually don't think he is retarded. Like in this viewing, like every viewing beforehand, I always viewed him as being kind of like partially retarded. But I'm like, at this viewing, I think it's just he had like a super tragic event at like age 5 or whatever the heck it was. Well, shit, he's only like age 8 by this point. But whenever it was, I think that just made him shut down. It's like he just fucking gave up. Like, fuck it. What's the point? I'm fucking 7 years old. Fucking, it's over, man. Fucking, that's it. The only good time I had was in a fucking dinosaur. Past that, what's the point?
Closest thing I have to it now is stacking blocks, which I thought the stacking blocks thing was going to come back around in some way, but because it's been a long time since I saw this movie. First, let's just say I didn't even really. This is a movie that got by me. I didn't even know about this movie till like the 6th or 7th grade. I remember I was like, my brother was watching TV in the other room, and I just heard what sounded like Mario 3, and I was like, what the hell? And I look like, there's a movie where they're playing Mario Brothers? What? You know, and it was just this thing. It was just like, what the? I was just like really like shocked. Like, and they were making a big deal. Like, it's Mario Brothers 3. I'm like, how did I not know about this movie? And then like sometime later, I went to like an aunt's house, like a distant aunt, and it was just looking, oh, I just help you, just, you know, watch you know, all the adults are doing their adult shit, and I'm just like, go watch a movie or something. I'm just flipping through VHSs, and I see The Wizard on VHS. I see Mario's on the cover. I'm like, oh, this is that movie, and that's where I watched the movie for the first time.
Yeah, that's like same with me. Is like I didn't discover this movie till like high school, and it was like I remember like the way I learned about it was in like a late Nintendo Power, like, you know, like maybe only around the last year or two of Nintendo Power they brought this thing back up in there, and they're like, hey, there's this movie from '89. I was like, get the fuck out! Where has this been my whole life? Why has nobody I known in my entire life had a copy of this film? So I just went out and bought it like on DVD, and it was just one of those ones where it's just like I really enjoyed it. Like, I still enjoy it. Like, even this last viewing and so on. Like, it's like that. But I'm like, man, when I had it, like, I would enjoy the fuck out of this movie if I would have caught it, like, in 95 or something like that.
Well, this is one of those movies, when you hear people talk about it retrospectively, they say it's just really a hour and a half ad for Nintendo. And then, like, at a first glance, I can kind of see why you say that, or I could definitely see older generations who don't give a shit about when, like, imagine being like, Leonard Maltin when this thing first came out, like in '89 or '88.
I should literally pull out the Leonard Maltin rating on this. You just spiked an interest in this, because I know that's got to be in his book. Keep talking for a split second. Keep talking. I'm going to walk over. It's in my library right next to me.
So the thing is, I imagine that this whole movie, when it came out, it had to just seem so like, oh, it's just for the kids. Why are we watching this stupid thing? I don't give a shit about video games. I don't give a shit about Mario or Zelda. And then when you actually watch the movie, and I remember liking it when I saw it, but then like thinking back, like, I was a kid, I probably wouldn't hold up. Then I watched it, like, it's not my favorite movie or anything, but it was way better than I remember it being. And I remember the dramatic stuff being way more impactful than I originally remembered. And despite how the cover looks, it's not really much of a comedy. There's a few weird, zany things near the end, but overall, this is much more of a drama.
Yeah, it totally is. That's the way I kind of thought, too, in this viewing. And I was like, that's really what this movie is. And I think it still kind of holds up. Like, when people say it's like, oh, it's just a Nintendo commercial for 90 minutes, like, what, did you just look at the fucking poster or the movie trailer? Like, that sounds like you obviously didn't watch the movie if you said that. Because there's really, like, there's video games in it, but it's like, that is a big part of it, but it's not, like, feeling, like, as hardcore video games as it could be. You know what I mean? It almost feels like it's a drama story first and foremost about a kid, like, coping with the loss of his sister, twin sister, that is. And then video games is just like, hey, man, if you fucking win this video game tournament, think how badass you'll be.
Well, another thing about it to actually, I guess one of the things that made people think, oh, it's just a Nintendo ad, one of the things that got people thinking that, I think, was originally the movie, the story that was written was originally 2.5 hours long. So, and I think they streamlined it more to keep it more focused on video games.
Yeah, well, I heard, like, recently, because I have just had the DVD version, and of course it's, like, no thrills whatsoever. It's one of those DVDs that's, like, it says play and scene selects only. Like, there's not even a fucking trailer or anything on there. But I hear there's a Shout Blu-ray release of it that has a bunch of special features. I'm like, oh, dude, I think I gotta go get this now.
I'd be curious about that right there, yeah. One of those DVDs, like, oh shit, you found it? We didn't even know you made it. Hey, okay.
Okay, I found the Wizard review by Leonard Maltin here.
Oh.
Of course, it's one of those ones that has to be, like, on 2 pages, but whatever. What do you think he gave it star-wise?
I'm gonna bounce between 1 and 2 stars.
He gave it 2 stars. So that's actually better than you'd think for Leonard Maltin, I think, for a movie like this. But here's
2 stars means it's okay.
Yeah, like,
to him.
Yeah, to him that's not so bad, because it's totally not made for his generation anyways. This is one of these movies that's like there's like a total cutoff line, you know what I mean? It has stuff in there where it's trying to like kind of appeal to the adults too. And maybe if you're like really open-minded, you could probably get into it, but I feel like it is kind of made for like the 15-year-old and up as far as like our age goes. You know, or people born that. But here's his little synopsis. He says, a road movie for kids, with Savage, his traumatized brother Edwards, and Lewis pursued across the Southwest by various relatives. Well, it's not across the Southwest. It's technically mostly in, like, northern areas, but that's okay. You know, across the Southwest by various relatives and other grown-ups. Limp, overplotted. Let me flip the page here. Comedy, well, he says a comedy. Suffers from heavy product plugs, Rocky-like finish, with Edwards and the video game wizardry, may thrill some preteens, but few others. Look for Tobey Maguire in the bit part.
I saw Tobey Maguire, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, granted, like, at that age, that's like just, an old kind of, like, hippie guy sitting there going, like, the fuck is this shit? Computers and crap? You know what I mean? Like, as I say, it's one of those movies, there's just certain things that's, like, it's kind of like... This movie fits in the same block as, like, Super Mario Brothers, and Double Dragon and Ninja Turtles and Three Ninjas and all that kind of stuff of that time period where it's made for a certain audience, which is technically just literally us. You know what I mean? Us, a little bit older, a little bit younger, but, like, we are, like, the center point of, like, who they're going for. It's not meant to... Like, it's one of those movies, like, I just feel like it's not meant to have anybody from, like, the past kind of, like, try to win them over,
Yeah, and speaking on the movie, let's just actually say this real quick. We're not going to break into it like, okay, then this happens, then that happens. Because at the end of the day, it's just a road trip, and shit happens along the way, and we learn certain things about the characters. So, in all honesty, I think I'd had trouble keeping like, wait, did that happen? When they lost the money, that happened before or after this or that? You know what I mean? But the whole, I forgot, the Jenny Lewis girl, she looked familiar. She's actually a musician. She's a child actor turned musician. Did you know about her?
I kind of saw it. I didn't see anything else that stood out that I recognized. I didn't recognize what band she was in. I didn't recognize any of those other movies for the most part.
Just self-titled artist, and I've heard a few of her songs before, and like I don't really know her super well, but I know some of her music. And then like she looks familiar. I'm like, oh shit, that's her. Okay.
Yeah. No, I just kind of knew her from this movie and whatnot. And then, of course, I feel like the big actor of the movie more than anything else is Christian Slater. Because think about it, this time period...
Fred Savage, because this is also Wonder Years.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Fred Savage at the moment. But Fred Savage, as time goes on, is kind of forgotten. Christian Slater only continued to keep going bigger. Because at this point, Christian Slater's like who the fuck's this guy? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He probably had movies here and there, but he hadn't been like, oh shit, he's going to be put in like, throughout the 90s, he's going to be put in a lot of starring roles.
Well, it's funny. I was reading that Slater, as well as Bo Bridges, they didn't like video games. They thought the whole thing was like, video games are for fucking nerds. And then they started playing them and getting into the movie. And like, oh, kind of became more fans. I'm not sure if that's some shit they say on a press tour or if that's sincere, but either way, I thought it was kind of funny.
Well, you could see that because Christian Slater was probably just a tad bit too old for that. You know what I mean? He was probably just right at the age where, like, when Nintendo kind of came out, kind of been like, I'm 17 now or something like that. Not my thing. You could see he could just be right on the cusp of that.
I want to say this. Before they go on their whole adventure, because you get a little slice of the family life before the adventure happens, because essentially what ends up happening is we see the kid getting pulled away from the cops. The cops tell him, like, whatever, kid, California. Yeah, I want to go to California. My bitch of a wife wants to go to California. We all want to go to California. Get in the fucking car. And from there, that's where they have, like, a quick little, like, almost like just a meeting. Like, what should we do with this kid? We just can't keep chasing this kid every day. This happens, like, once a fucking day. This kid wanders out yelling California. So... It almost says California more than a Chili Peppers album, almost. But
it really does. Shit, this kid, he's like, I just want to go out there. I don't know. Maybe Flea will take me in.
So from there, they end up putting him in a mental institution for children, and then Fred Savage just says, no, man, that's my brother. That's not going to happen. I'm taking him to California. So he gets on a skateboard, and he goes down there.
I do like when he's in that mental institution. Just want to say this before you go any farther. There's like, he looks in that one room. There's that one kid just watching TV, and he fucking just turns around like a fucking ghoul and just goes like, looking at him fucking, like, jaw fucking down, just like, It's like, oh, sorry, not my brother. Oh, go back to my Western or whatever the fuck I was watching.
It is kind of like a horror movie for a minute, yeah.
Just like one of those ones. I love how easily fucking Fred Savage sort of just breaks him into this. Like, kid walks in. You think he was one's like, hey, what's that kid fucking doing? Like, he's his brother. Oh, okay. They're not going to do anything.
They're probably very, I'll be honest, probably very lax security there because, like, what? No one wants to come in here. Who wants to bring it here and steal like a crazy kid, So the kids can't figure out the locks. They're like childproof, so whatever, So they're probably super lax. It's probably like, just put a TV in front of them. Let's go hang out in the teacher's lounge.
You won't believe what the Utah government's paying us for this.
So, and from there, like, before that happens, we had a quick little, like, idea of what his home life is. And Bo Bridges, I just like that he is just so angry looking. He's just like, I'm cut off emotionally. Like, he's almost at this point, like, between Christian Slater. He's like, oh, what'd you make us? He's like he's making dinner. He's having trouble figuring it out. He's like, I'm sorry, I'm used to, like, landscape, but I'm not used to this cooking shit. And Christian Slater's like, I can't fucking eat this. Like, boy, you want to go outside and have a shovel fight?
Well, that's not like he's just like landscaper, blue collar dad, just being like, this is why I fucking married mom 1 and mom 2. They're supposed to take care of this shit, and they'll look at me. I'm fucking cook. I always love how people, like, whenever, like, you see in movies and, like, there's, like, the dad, like, you see a lot of 80s movies where the dad's, like, trying to be Mr. Mom and, like, take over. It's like, why don't you just cook something simple? Like, why are you guys always trying to cook something, like, complicated? You know what I mean? Like, why don't you just grill up a couple hamburgers for them? Like, it would seem, like, so much easier than trying to bake a casserole when you've never done that before.
Yeah, and like Christian Slater even says, like, enjoy your cancer bowl or whatever, cancer soul, or something like that.
But it's like burnt or whatever, and was like, well, fuck you. You know what I mean? There's no landscaping job in your future, Christian Slater. And don't take the truck out again and get drunk in it. It's just Utah.
I just like they're really trying to nail home that, like, it's just a very sad, depressing life for Fred Savage, because like 2 floors down he hears his parents, not his parents, his Christian Slater brother and his dad just yelling like, "You're not taking out the fucking truck again!" And he's just sitting there. He's like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm gonna break my brother out. I got nothing else going on right now.
Yeah, shit. Dad fucking took my broken NES and put it in the back of the truck. It's been sitting there forever.
He said he was gonna fix it, but he still has time to make a shitty casserole, but not fix the NES. So maybe they have a NES over at the Crazy Kid house.
Yeah, exactly. So whatever.
No, they don't. We're leaving. Okay, come on. Maybe he would have just stayed there if they had that. Like, hey, are you part of our curriculum? And he just looks at him and goes, "Duh." Like, yeah, he's one of them. All right, cool.
Yeah, just does a fucking head twist like he's a fucking demon. Like, yeah, whatever. That's what they all look
like. He just
like.
walks with a weird limp and his head crooked. Like, all right, cool. We gotta find another bunk for him. 1 minute.
Yeah,
here. Just don't choke on anything. Wait here.
It's okay. The more kids we got in here, the more money we get from the state. Just saying, it's a win-win for us. But he breaks out his brother and whatnot, and then they're like, "Shit, let's get out of here. Let's go." And they go like the bus stop, and it's just like, I love how like could you imagine nowadays if a kid like in 2020 went to a bus stop and it looked kind of shady, like, "Hey man, we're fucking like me and my brother getting out of here." Do you think the bus driver, like, what do you think would happen nowadays? Do you think they'd even be like, "Here, kid, if you got $35 or whatever it costs to get on the bus," I think they need 240 or something ridiculous to get to like California, but it's like, yeah, sure, here you go, kid, get out of here. You little scamp.
This is one of those movies where they don't really baby the kids. They really do, like, outside your parents' house. It's a harsh reality, kid, because it's one of those things where usually it's like, "I only have $27. Kid, how far can that get me?" He's like, "Oh, well, sorry, kid, I can't help you." It'll be usually something like that in real life. And this one, it's like, "I only have $27, sir." You fucking idiot! You ain't going fucking anywhere with that! Get the fuck out of my office!
I know. And then, of course, that's when we like find like the girl character who kind of like meets. It really has like, it sounds weird. This almost has like the anime character, like without being an anime or even thinking about it, has like that kind of like, like the characters of that, or the archetype, I guess you would say.
Yeah, it does. The trio, like,
it's like a Brock, Misty, and Ash. Except if Ash was really fucking talented.
You kind of take a few little traits of that and like swap them around, and they kind of fit those demographics. Yeah, because the girl, she's very. I'm gonna say the girl's probably more brash and more of kind of like hot-headed. Mm-hmm. I mean, and then Fred Savage is probably like the little kid is very calm and very like quiet. And then Fred Savage is kind of like the between the two of them.
Yeah, he's kind of scheming, and he's kind of because really the first thing is like literally they find the girl and it's like, "Oh yeah, I bet you my brother can fucking beat you at Double Dragon," which is like such a weird game. It's like, yeah, we're just gonna sit here and watch 2 people play through this game until they get the highest score. Like, I just think about that. Like, if you really was like filming that the whole time, be like, these kids have fucking been here for like 2 hours. Like, what's going on? You know what I mean? And I love how he hustles her out of her fucking like ticket and what. It just seems like it's one of those ones that's just like, "Oh, this is fucking easy. Like, why are we even going to school? Like, shit, let's just go on the road and start fucking hustling." It's like almost becomes like The Color of Money and whatnot. Fucking Paul Newman fucking shows up. He's like, "Hey kids, I'll fucking show you how to do it. I've been hustling people at Double Dragon for years."
Here, follow me. Just don't make eye contact with anybody, but I know a underground Vietnamese high stakes the Double Dragon ring.
Yeah, because that's really what it is. It's one of those weird movies too where I almost think it's like it's almost just like this was just kids on the road, and it's like I like how they treat it kind of like just as is. They don't kind of baby it or anything like that, but also at the same time it's like it literally is a movie about kids fucking hustling. That is really, it could almost be, the movie could also be called The Hustle.
It could be. And like there's a part where like not too far when they're on the road, this is the funny thing, because you have some like business guys like some old ass business guys playing an arcade cabinet of Super Mario Brothers, and then like I'm first off, I mean, maybe if you're drunk enough at that age, at that time, like, "Oh, whatever, I'll play it, sure, whatever." But these guys are like older. These guys are like 50s and 60s. Like guys you think would not even bother with it, but they're like, "Whatever." I mean, we have a few drinks in us. No one's gonna know about it, And then like they overhear it. They go over there and play the games. They're like, hey, my little brother can beat you at Mario. He's like, oh, I want to bet you, little bastard. Next thing you see him counting a bunch of money.
Yeah, I know. I just love how these old guys, like, could you imagine, in real life, those old guys are probably like, well, fuck you, kid, I ain't giving you money, and they just walk out of there, you know what I mean? Because, like, they're fucking adults. Like, what's those kids gonna do?
Yeah.
You know, but I love when they hustle. I wish they really showed that, because, like, that just kind of cuts to, like, them counting money, but I wish they really showed them, like, full on this, like, hustling these old guys.
What if there's a deleted scene of just, like, the kid, they're like, we're not going to pay, and then we realize Jimmy, the kid who's good at video games, has, like, a murderous streak. He just, like, jumps, like, knifes one of them in the, like, the back of their knee. He just falls down and starts stabbing him. He's like, all right, take the fucking money! Take the fucking money!
California.
Just slash, cut to the next scene.
Yeah, them fucking counting the money. Just be like, damn it, Jimmy, you got blood all over the fucking cash. You gotta stop doing that.
We have to take this by a laundromat now, yeah.
And literally launder our money.
So, no, what was I going to say? There's like a part where, we forgot to mention this guy. Okay, we're going to jump a little bit ahead here, just kinda, but, first off, there's that one really creepy guy who looks like a total fucking pedophile.
Oh, yeah.
Tracking these kids down, like the balding pedophile T-1000 of the movie.
He really he's hired by the fucking yuppie dad. Like, yes, you look like you touch little boys, so you'd be perfect for finding my stepson, I guess.
Now let me ask you something, okay? And I'm not trying to bait and switch you here, but if there was one person in this movie who was in real life charged with pedophilia, who do you think it would be?
You mean beyond that guy?
Just anybody in this movie. Anybody in this movie.
I don't know. See, now I'm not thinking it's that guy now, because that guy feels like he's the red herring of, like, what you want me to choose.
Yeah, he's very much the red herring.
I'm trying to think of one of those other, like, weird, like, generally it's gotta be like, you're not thinking like those teenage boys, are you?
You're closer.
Because there's those teenage boys that there's a scene in this movie that, like, if this was a rated R movie, it could have gone really fucking south. You know?
Oh, it could have. Yeah, there's a lot of. Here's the thing with this movie: it's PG, but just turn the knob just a little to the right, and it could have gone really bad in a lot of other scenes.
It's like if you would have had that director who did fucking, like, Hostiles or something like that, this movie could have been like,
or like Boys Don't Cry or some shit like that.
Oh yeah, Boys Don't Cry. Yeah, that one. One of those ones, just like one of those movies where it's like nothing fucking good happens. You know what I mean? Like every turn you go around is a fucking dark corner. No, tell me which character you're thinking.
Lucas.
Oh, Lucas.
Power Glove Boy. Real life.
Is he real life a pedophile?
Yep.
Wow.
Which is weird. If you said, all right, it's one of these three characters, it's got to be somebody in this movie. Who would you go with? Your first thought is got to be like, oh, it's got to be the creepy guy stalking these kids, right? I mean, he looks the part.
Yeah, exactly. You would definitely think that guy. Though I kid you not, when I was kind of watching this, though, even though that guy is a total jackass and an asshole, I almost feel like I have that thing where I'm like, you know what? He doesn't want to technically take this job, but he took this job, and damn it, by God, he's got to make the money, so he's going to go by any means possible, and in that process, he is the villain of our movie. But it's like, he's just a guy trying to make a paycheck at the same time. I don't know, I felt like I had this weird, like, I don't like the guy's actions. The guy's a creep, but I get it, like, he's trying to make a fucking... You know what? He's doing a dirty job that nobody wants to do. Somebody's got to track down children, I guess.
Well, it's zero sympathy for him because the first thing he does, he walks into a bar, or not bar, but he walks into like a Frosty or something, and there's some kid sitting there. He puts his hand behind the kid's neck. He's just like, "You're gonna tell me where these kids are right here." It's like, "Fuck, dude, you don't even know this kid." Like, what if it's like, what if that, it's just one of those things. Like, yeah, good luck having that shit happen in real life.
Well, because he even takes the kids like playing like pinball and whatnot, and then like he fucking shakes it so it tilts. Like, what a fucking ass.
Yeah, no, they do a good job of making it because when he first pops in there for a second, all right, this guy's probably a little bit of a douchebag, but they really make him a major douchebag as the movie goes on. But mainly just because he's doing whatever he can to like stop the dad, impede the dad and Christian Slater from finding him. Something I thought was actually funny was because for the whole time they're getting across that like Christians, and this is probably one of those things where older generations are like, shut the fuck up. But like Beau Bridges, when he, there's a few scenes where like you get him and Christian Slater trying to kind of bond a little more because the dad's just cut off emotionally, and he says like, "Oh, I remember this one time when we went to California. We had a great time. This happened, that happened." Dad would say, "Yeah, time to go to sleep." And he's just like, "Whatever, Dad. I can't have a fucking emotional moment with you." Then he goes and gets the old NES out of the car and starts playing Ninja Turtles. And then from there, we end up like, he's all kind of getting into it. And then we cut to the next morning, and Bo Bridges is into the game now.
Well, that's a good scene too, because I like it because like it cuts to, like the next morning, and you hear like the video games being played, and like in the bed, you almost think it's Bo Bridges laying there because he's turned around and stuff. And then when he rolls over, it's like, oh fuck, it's Christian Slater. And then the camera pans back, and it's Bo Bridges fucking playing the game. And I will say this, I like the way they kind of do it because it's almost like the dad at first, like, I don't fucking get it. You guys fucking jerk off of each other playing video games and whatnot. It's like, don't make any sense. Like, why don't you grab a shovel or a rake or a hoe and, be like your old man and start fixing people's fucking properties up and making their lawns look nice. And then it's like, it kind of goes, it's like, oh no, I kind of get it. This is pretty fucking fun. And like, he's even getting into it. It even has like, almost like you would, I guess at the time it wouldn't seem like much, but it almost feels like sort of like deep, because like, dude, he got fucking into Zelda 2, not Zelda 1. He was getting into Zelda 2.
Oh, I know. There's that part when they're at the chop shop, and while everyone else is working on the car, he's in there just playing Zelda. He's really into it. We can't go just yet. Like, I just beat the water demon and this and that. He's like, Dad, we gotta fucking go. Jesus Christ. Like, roles have totally been flipped by this point.
Yeah, it's like, I feel like, I like that, because it's like, that could feel kind of forced, but I feel like it feels kind of natural. It's almost like, in the sense, it's almost like the good dad. Because I think that's one of those ones, like, probably if you're a kid, like let's say you're 10 years old in 1989 and you're fucking watching this movie, and maybe if you had like a disconnect with your father, like, I don't get it, he sits there, plays those fucking Nintendo games all day long, like, at my age I was down at the fucking mill getting a job and a union card. And it's just like,
I was there, I found a wife.
Yeah. And it's just one of those ones, like, I could see where some kids like, yeah man, fucking like, that's what I need to get my dad to do, man. If he fucking just, maybe if he plays some Zelda fucking 2, maybe he would just understand.
Yeah. Well, there's actually another thing about that. Actually, not about that, but it's actually watching that kind of reminded me. My dad, he's not the video game generation, but when I had a Nintendo 64, my dad's he loves racing. He absolutely loves racing, and he loves cars. And Mario Kart was, I think that if I just pushed or nudged a little more, I may have got him into Mario Kart, because he actually was interested in watching me play Mario Kart, but he was annoyed by all the power-up shit. He just wanted to race. He wanted to know if there's a version. And there's once or twice I walked in on him in my room playing like Mario Kart. Oh fuck! like I walked in on him jerking off or something.
Well, it's like one of those. I like how it's like he pretty much wants the Smash Brothers version, like no fucking items, like, you know what I mean? Like, can I get that version of it? But
he just wanted a racing game at the end of the day, and he kind of figured out how it worked. And there's a few times we were playing, and I hit him with a lightning bolt or a red shell. I was like, what the fuck? He was ahead for a minute. But I remember that like he actually kind of got into Mario Kart for a second. So that was one of those things I thought was funny. And he would, his character of all of them was Yoshi. Remember that? He would always just go with Yoshi for some reason.
He liked the dinosaur. Well, I always think Mario Kart is like the ultimate like gateway game for anybody. It seems like, in the olden days, it was almost like one of those ones like you could pretty much pull Mario Kart out on anybody and it worked. Like your aunt could be over, you put some Mario Kart in, she'll play with you. You know what I mean? Like your dad could play some Mario Kart with you. Shit, a girl could play some Mario Kart with you. Almost your grandpa could sit down and play some Mario Kart with you. Like that's kind of like, it's stretched out like very broad for like, even if somebody didn't even like video games, Mario Kart was kind of there. And I know this is kind of like not really a topic, but I don't know what it was. Like I was thinking, I'm like, I bet you your dad would really dig, because there was like a racing game that was on PlayStation Plus for free. It was like a rally racing one, and then like it was like one of those ones where it's like super fucking detailed into like, it's made by Codemasters, the guys who made Micro Machines on fucking Sega Genesis. That was my first thing I thought about.
Well, I bet he probably would have. I bet if like,
but if you got like the
he probably. If I had a PlayStation, he would have loved Gran Turismo.
Well, that's, I mean, if you had that, but then if you got the steering wheel and the stick shift and like all the pedals and so on, I bet you I could see him up there fucking like racing all day, fucking stop doing anything else and just racing all day long.
I can see him doing that. He'd go for a phase. He would probably stop it for like a long time, but for that month and a half or whatever, he'd be into it, definitely.
Because that was what I was thinking when I was playing that game. I was like, man, this is totally like, I could see Jim actually really digging this game.
Yeah, yeah, not far off there. So that's why I knowing that though, just seeing that scene, I kind of chuckled a little bit, kind of knowing like, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a joke. We say like parents actually getting into the game or whatever, but no, that actually kind of happened for a minute, which wouldn't he would probably not admit to. Like, oh, I played it once or twice, but okay. All right.
Well, I remember like when I was a kid and like when I first had a Sega Genesis and so on, like my dad, like there was just certain games that he would play, and he would even come home like after work, like at nighttime and whatnot, and like turn the Sega Genesis on and play like some Cool Spot or even like Sonic the Hedgehog and just like, you know, just those few games that are kind of like, I guess, kind of easy to jump into. You know what I mean? They're not the ones filled with 6 buttons and all kinds of like hidden stuff. Because I think that's what always would like lose people really quick. Is the second that you got, especially it's like double joysticks. You don't think about that, but that right there is a lot of times a big breaking point. Like just having the twin sticks of like one moves you and one moves the camera like that. That almost is like, if you're not used to it, like we just kind of grew up and we watched it kind of evolve. Like, you know, I mean, we grew up at a time when there wasn't a second joystick, and then they put a second joystick on, and then we didn't use it for like 6 years, and then we decided to finally start using it. You know, but like you kind of put that in someone's hand, it's almost like it's like a foreign object. You know, it's almost like you kind of watch it. It looks like a baby deer learning to walk for the first time, kind of.
It is kind of like that, really, when you think about it.
And it's like you take it for granted. Like I always take it for granted. It's just because it's like so like second nature that like I'm just using both those sticks at the same time. I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of get it. Like that really does throw someone off if they've never really used that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but even moving forward with the movie regarding that, there's that other scene where the dad is playing the video game and they're at the chop shop. I like how there are certain things because this movie seems to kind of be like tries to take itself fairly seriously. But then every so often there's a few things like, okay, that's not how it would work in real life. Like there's the part where like the guy tows it. He's just like, yeah, you pay me $50 to tow your car. And like, well, you can't fucking do that because that's illegal. Where's my car now? Oh, we already started scrapping it. Like, that's not how it fucking works.
It's fucking in the desert of Nevada. Fuck you. We had nothing better to do.
That's also one of those things.
Don't you take away my fun.
They start scrapping it together. They start putting it back together, I guess, assuming. But it's one of those things where it's like, I'm wondering, like, this could have gone down another dark road. Like, well, funny thing is, you're not supposed to be here. No one's supposed to know about this scrapyard. So, Patches, like a fucking mangled, like, Rottweiler comes running out, fucking mauls Christian Slater.
Yeah, exactly. It could go dark. Or everything, like, even in, like, Vegas Vacation, like, when they go to that one auto shop, like, out in the middle of fucking, once again, like, Nevada, right. And that guy's like, how much money you got? And he's like, and Chevy Chase just he's like, you keep going, and the guy comes out fucking holding the wrench, like, those kind of things that I feel like would never really happen nowadays. Not saying it couldn't happen, but, you know, this day and age, I think it's like, we were almost a little too connected where those kind of things, you know, yeah, nobody's gonna fucking just like mug you and so on. Like this one, at least they put the vehicle back together in completely different parts, which almost looks kind of cool that way. But it looks like a fucking Lego that like a kid built.
Yeah, we didn't actually talk about like aside from the creepy pedophile aspect, we didn't actually talk about the Lucas kid, the little douchey mullet kid with the power glove.
I love how like the second greatest guy or the biggest challenge is some kid in fucking bumfuck Nevada is the guy that they got to worry about. It just seems kind of weird when you think about it. Like it's not like it feels like in any other movie, be like, oh, here's this kid from like New York City. You know what I mean? His dad works on Wall Street. It's like no, here's this kid that fucking like hangs out at a fucking diner like on like a side road in God knows where Nevada, and he's got all fucking 97 games. What of it? You know what I mean? Like I'm the master. Let's go play some fucking Rad Racer, fucking Squaresoft style. Final Fantasy's not out yet, bro.
Yeah.
And he puts on the fucking power glove, which is really like one of those scenes where it's like, I know it's like probably everybody else like, the fuck is that thing? But like if it's a kid, you're like to this day, I've seen a power glove. I've never touched a power glove. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those ones like it still is like one of those like treasures of the video game ancient world almost. You know what I mean? Like, shit, if they made an Indiana Jones movie 300 years in the future, he would be finding a fucking power glove somewhere. Like, that's kind of like what that item is. It'd be like, oh my god, like having that. And he just like, Lucas is like driving his car. He almost is driving it like, yeah, I got fucking one arm up, lean back. Yeah, I can fucking rad race this all night.
Well, I was going to say, the thing about the power glove even is like, they make reference to it, like, in games. Like, they'll have, like, oh, you have the Power Glove item. Now you can lift large rocks or whatever. But I'm waiting for them to actually full-on make the Power Glove an item, like in, like, Smash Brothers or something like that.
Yeah, I'm surprised it actually hasn't appeared in Smash Bros. Because Smash Bros. Always seems like the place you can bring back anything and it works really well. You know what I mean? You let you can kind of teach the new kids about like what these old things are, and to all the old fans, it's like, oh my god, that's fucking amazing. It's kind of like putting the Super Scope in there and so on. I'm almost surprised you can almost bring the Power Glove back as like a Nintendo like Wii accessory or a Switch accessory. You know what I mean?
You probably could. You have to make a special cut because the thing about the Power Glove is there weren't many games that it could work with, so that was the reason why it was kind of a failure. And they had not N64. I don't know why I said N64. They had a controller on there, NES controller on there, just in case the thing flaked out on you.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? It's one of those ones. It's like obviously I guess it works on Rad Racer. I have Rad Racer. I've never used it with the Power Glove, but
yeah. So the other character is we mentioned her briefly, but there was what was her name? Haley, the Jenny Lewis character.
I think so. I think that's
she's basically she's kind of like the tough girl, tough fiery redhead, she's not all talk, but then once she says, "Oh yeah, my family's rich, this and that," but then you find out by the end like, oh no, she's broke as fuck and her parents are never there, so she's always just kind of leaving, just almost traveling the road, just kind of just like, hey mom, dad, I'm gonna be gone for like 2 weeks. Okay, honey, dinner's in the fridge.
Yeah, it's like mom was a showgirl, dad was a trucker. I live in Reno. And I think it's that kind of thing. She talks the big talk, and that's like at the end of the day, it's just like, hey, it's not saying that like. I think she's afraid of being known as like a nobody. She wants to be something in life, and she's kind of like, she's kind of road strong. She's growing up with truckers in a sense. That's like her whole, all her friends are truckers. It sounds like a country song, like all my friends are truckers.
What if you find out that like she has like an Adderall problem and she's like popping pills to stay awake all night.
Yeah. We gotta get those East Coast turnarounds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's how Daddy makes a living.
No, and then like like she's like, just go in the men's room, tap your foot 3 times. That's how you're gonna get some money.
Yeah.
What? Just do it. My dad told me about it.
Yeah, so she's got all this like she's almost like the knowledgeable rules of the road. They give her kind of like almost like a tomboyish kind of charm, which I think would like in a sense is like to an olden days video game kid that would be a very appealing girl, I think, because they all if you have like a preppy girl, no way she's gonna be anything in the video games. But if you have that little bit of a tomboy girl, you know what I mean? That's gonna be
doors kind of open. That always seemed like oh, that's approachable.
Yeah, well, that's like the one that's like, oh, you can fucking hang out with. You know what I mean? I always think about this. Sounds kind of weird, but it's like my cousin when we were kids. She was kind of like a tomboy-ish. But that man, we got to play fucking Batman and Robin together, which is kind of weird when I think about it. When I'm older, I'm like, she was fucking Batman, I was like Robin and whatnot. Like, whatever, I guess.
It's foreshadowing.
It's foreshadowing, but like that was the thing is like we play fucking video games together and like share the same. Even though she was in like she had like the girly things like we fucking watch Mary Kate and Ashley videos, but then we'd go fucking watch a Batman video. So it was all like fair trade.
It bounced out, yeah.
But I think about that like that's kind of like sort of reminds me of, like this girl here. It's like in that sense where like, I'd be like, as long as tomboy enough, like, she could be kind of into it. As I said, if she was like fucking Molly Ringwald's character in The Breakfast Club, forget about it. Yeah, and there's that part when they actually get to it. So we talk about it being kind of a quasi, people always say it's a Nintendo ad at the end of the day, which it's not. There's more to it. You definitely see the product placement. It's very blatant. It's very obvious. But at the same time, it's part of the goal. It's not like there just happens to be, they live in a world where only Nintendo products exist. It just happens to be, oh, we're going to this big Nintendo event. So naturally, we're going to play up and practice on these different games. Yeah, well, and at the same time, you think about, like, at this time period, like, what else are they going to fucking pull out? Like, Atari 7800, you know what I mean? Like, we're still at a pre-Sega Genesis era. I mean, there's the Sega Master and so on. Like, it's that, there's a handful of years that Nintendo really has a hold where they can literally say, like, yo, you're playing video games, means you're playing Nintendo.
Yeah, so there's that aspect. But then people always talk about, like, oh, it also becomes kind of an ad for Universal Studios at the end of the movie. But I think it kind of works. It's one of those things where the movie does get noticeably more wackier as it goes on, and not so much just through antics, more of just the I'm just gonna say, just the people running the fucking convention at Universal Studios. There's the one dude. He's like the guy who they get up there. He's just like, "You kids are late." She's just like, "Well, where can we sign up? Like last minute. What are we playing? Ninja Gaiden."
That guy's like so angry at me. He's like, "Oh, these fucking kids got no sense of fucking time."
Yeah, like that guy. Like, and then there's the other guy who's basically acting kind of like. It's like, there's the one guy who's running the thing who said some really weird, creepy shit. There's the showman guy
who's like hurt the girl's pigtails. He's like, the sexiest little girl in the world. Or whatever. He's like fucking drumming her pigtails behind her and whatnot. She's standing there like,
He literally said to, like, I think the kids, like, "My little beauties, come on stage!" Like, what the fuck? Like, yeah, he used to run this game show from his basement. Like, oh, well.
Yeah.
He has a cousin in the industry? How the fuck did he get up here?
Yeah, he judges a lot of little 8-year-old girls, like, beauty pageants.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
It's like one of those things, like, they try to do this thing because he's so weird. And, I mean, because, you're expecting, like, a big, grand, like, okay, you're the host of a kids game show or whatever, so naturally you got to be big because we think you got to get the kids' attention or whatever. But the thing is, the dude says like he does a lot of deep inhales. And he plays the girl's pigtails, like the beautiful Mona from California. Like, okay, all right, dude. And then like they do one quick little thing to try and make the guy seem like he's not bad or anything, but still, given everything else happened beforehand, like. What's his real motive here? Because there's the part where they're getting all the kids on stage, and the main kids are being currently chased by the creepy, balding guy who tracks down children for a living. And he's like, "Where's the little guy? We can't start. Little kid's not here. Like, it doesn't matter. We gotta go now." It's like, you can see he feels bad. Like, that's the one little thing. Like, okay, he's not like he's not meant to be a bad guy, but just the direction they gave him was very off-putting.
Yeah, no, that guy's very odd. As I said, he's like a little too into his job, I think.
I'm just gonna watch children play video games. Like, oh man, you're gonna love 2000 and like you're gonna love the 2015 to 2020 with Let's Plays and shit.
Yeah, exactly, one of those ones. I also love how fucking Lucas, like he's got his fucking like posse there, and they all have like fucking Visions t-shirts on. Like everybody's fucking like sponsored by shit. Even fucking like our main character is fucking sponsored by Visions as well too. I noticed that kind of later. I'm like, oh, he's got a fucking Visions t-shirt on too. Like, what? They just hand those fucking out at Universal Studios.
Well, there's also the kid that when he's like, "God, Lucas, you're the best. Unless you're getting me a fucking root beer or sucking my dick, shut the fuck up," And that's where he's like, kid walks like, "Oh, okay, I'll go get you a soda or whatever." The kid to that kid's left is Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, that kid.
Little pink shirt wearing, mullet wearing Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, exactly. One of those things like that. But also, you kind of mentioned like Universal Studios. Like, I know it's like I think it's like as an adult, someone can maybe look at that as like some weird product placement. But like, I kid you not, like especially if I would have saw that like even younger as a kid, that would have been like that thing where it'd be like, shit, dude, that's Universal Studios. It looks so fucking sick. You know what I mean? Like that would have almost like amped it up so that the day you finally went to Universal Studios, you'd be like, dude, I gotta fucking go. You know what I mean? Because that's like this movie almost feels like. It has like that Japanese feel, like where it's very geared towards like what kids actually fucking like. You know what I mean? Like kids fucking like Nintendo. They want to go to a cool theme park, and they fucking like going out on the road and fucking hustling. Just saying. Because really, like if you think about it, like a 10-year-old kid, you would think of like those like, if I could do this scheme, I could get by in life and almost not have to go to school, and maybe that would turn into I eventually own an X-wing. Child logic.
Dream big.
Dream big. You know what I mean? Like, if I do this kind of hustling, if I act like Tom Cruise in The Color of Money, who knows where I could end up? 3 years from now, I could be fucking, living with Hulk Hogan. Just saying, like.
I could be his better son.
Yeah, exactly. He'll kick out his other family. I will save that fucking marriage from being a disaster. You know what I mean? Because he'll decide that no, it's all about me, not them. And then me and Hulk fucking live together in the stars, driving around in our X-Wing. Fucking, he pops up in the back like fucking R2-D2 and tells me where to go.
I'm just imagining an X-Wing with fucking Hulk Hogan in R2-D2's place. He's like, beat up people, boom. Like, I don't know, Hulk 2, where do you think we should go? Oh, that's not, I don't know, there's no life on the Dagobah system. Okay.
Okay, Hulkster, we're going in. And he's just like...
That's the noise whenever he gets shot.
But yeah, it's like as a kid, like I feel like this thing like hits on like all the kid levels. You know what I mean? Like that's why, like I said, I saw this as a teenager and I still fucking love the hell out of it. But if I would have saw it as a kid, dude, like this movie could have been that thing where it's just like, oh fuck, dude, they got it fucking all down. Like, you know what I mean? Like they fucking get it, man. They understand.
Oh, definitely. If I saw this movie when I was like probably, because the thing is they have it a big, because when this movie came out, Mario 3 has not come to America yet. So when they were like, and I don't think they advertised, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think they advertised Mario 3. So when you're seeing this movie for the first time back in 88 or 89, and they're like, get ready for Mario 3! And it opens up, like, oh, shit, you know?
Yeah, because it really is. It'd be like, oh, like, that's something that, like, if you don't explain that to someone, like, that would have been such, like, a huge deal, though, just to be on, like, shit, fucking Mario 3? Like, talk about, like, the biggest fucking game drop you could possibly have, like, at that time period. You know, and it's just like, hey, here's this fucking thing. We got a brand new game. You guys are gonna play it tonight. We got fucking sick NES, like fucking joysticks built in here, which probably is not the greatest thing for Mario, but go for it.
Oh, I know. Well, the other things about this movie is because now you could probably mention stuff from Mario or Sonic or whatever and have it be common knowledge. I mean, I saw like, God, not even recently, but like probably 5 or 6 years ago, there was a car commercial with a whole Nintendo theme around it, not a Japanese commercial.
The Mercedes ones?
I think the Mercedes ones where it was like somebody's driving through a tunnel and there's like a little 8-bit Mario chasing the car along with it, you know? So
well, because they had that like in Mario Kart 8, you could like unlock the Mercedes cars to go along with that fucking ad. You could drive in there.
Okay, well there you go. Well, reach that point where it's just like, okay, Mario is very common now. Now, if somebody makes a Mario reference or a Zelda reference, it's not shocking or out of place. Like, oh, that's just. I remember seeing like a Sonic reference and a Mario reference in an episode of Simpsons where Bart is contemplating on stealing a video game, and then like, you know, Mario is just telling like boss, don't do it. What would your mother say? And then like Donkey Kong is just running in a circle making ape noises, and then Sonic's like, just take it! Take it! You know?
Well, that's an old episode, too, because that's, like, from season, like, 5 or 6 or something like that.
Yeah, so something like that would be genuinely like, oh my god, they just referenced the shit I know, you know?
Because I remember seeing that Simpsons episode kind of, like, maybe not when it came out, but maybe just a little bit afterwards, and I was like, oh, what the fuck? Like, I remember being, like, mind-blown from that one.
Like, mind blown that a show that I watched referenced these two, not just one thing, but two things, Mario and Sonic, as well as Donkey Kong, in the same little joke right there. Mm-hmm. And the other thing on top of that is, this movie, it's not like that the whole way through, but this is probably one of the first movies to really do that. And like, there's the part when, you know, the kids are, I think it's the part when they're on top of Jenny Lewis's trailer, which I really like that shot. That's just a really cool shot right there. Just all the Nevada mountains behind them, and they're on that trailer, and it's kind of cloudy, but the sun's still kind of coming through. There's that part where they're talking, and they're talking about Legend of Zelda for a second, and he's basically trying to make an analogy. Well, it's kind of like, you know, it's like we're Link and California is Zelda, you know, we're just trying to find it, you know, something kind of like that. So using, like, you know, where an adult is like scratching their like, what the fuck are they talking about? But all the kids at the time are like, oh my god, they actually played the game.
Yeah, no, because I think that scene right there is one of those ones where it's like, I can see that totally going over other people's heads, but it's like, that scene is like one of those moments where I go like, dude, that's like, it's like, you fucking get it. Like that almost like Fred Savageness he's got going right there, like, that's like how you would try to justify things and explain things as a child. Like, you would almost get that, like, you know, man, maybe this journey's just like, it's like the Adventures of Zelda and whatnot, and so on. I even like how it even has, like, for even, like, 1989, like, the girl's all like, well, that's fucking sexist. Like, you know, he's fucking just saving a girl. Like, why isn't she gonna, like, go save anything like that? You know, and he, like, turns it around a little bit there. Like, well, hold on a second. Let me explain. You know, like... Yeah. But, like, it even kind of has, like, that, too, where it's, like, because, it's, you know, at that time period, it's, like, unless you played Metroid, you didn't really know that there was, like, a female hero in, like, most of these games. And you're like, well, yeah, because, like, our target audience is, like, 90% fucking boys, just letting you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, just that moment right there. It's one of those ones like you couldn't just explain that to anybody, but like that is I feel like it's a very raw, real feeling thing, you know? Because we all know we've all explained something like shit. I still do it in real life nowadays, where like you kind of like things feel like okay, it feels like this game right here. That's what's going on right now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this is actually it's still the wizard, but not as on topic. I just have to acknowledge this before I forget. There's one part where they're at the hotel. It's like there's like 3 or 4 moments where they're running away from the creepy balding guy whose job it is to track down children. There is a part where he's going up, just like, I'm looking for these kids right here. Just goes up to some random person. To his right is a creepy, old-ass, ancient dude in a blue aqua Speedo chewing on his sunglasses. Did you notice that and go, what the fuck?
Yep.
That dude's got to be there for some reason. That guy stands up. No, he's not. Okay.
Yeah, like I know. I literally pointed that out to Laura when we were watching it there. So I was just like, dude, check out this fucking guy right here. Like, because that's like a World War II veteran just being like, fuck it. I don't give a fuck. I killed Nazis. You know, be fucking grateful. I could dress anywhere I fucking please.
Well, it's also like you're just watching that part, and that dude stands out so much. I'm just thinking of the casting call, like we just need people in swimwear to stand in the background because it's a pool scene.
And that guy shows up.
That guy shows up. You're like, you front and center next to the main person of the shot.
Yeah, just like you're at the fucking Reno pool. How are you gonna dress?
Not some stud who's like totally cut, has a V, and like, you know, and like some swim trunks, or not some hot girl in like a bikini or anything like that. This old ass crusty as fuck dude in a Speedo just chewing on sunglasses.
I know, just fucking hanging out. Really, at that scene, that was kind of weird, because you notice that Fred Savage and the girl are like, they're just like fucking hanging out at the pool, or they're just like, we'll just leave my little brother in there for fucking bag of quarters, you know what I mean?
Well, they know he's not going to go just like, all right, is it California? No, you got to play the game, then California. Oh, California, game, then California, you know. The thing is, they know he's going to be one of 2 places. He's either going to be at the video game or just walking down the nearest highway to California. So it's one of 2 spots.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? It's just like, whatever, he's gonna learn, it's Reno, they got every fucking arcade game. You know what I mean? They're gonna have them all. He needs to learn everything. It's kind of weird because, you know, it's almost like one of those ones like, they get Spanky, which is like one of the truck driver friends, which I always think of, like, when I see that guy, I'm like, it's the police captain of fucking Last Action Hero. That's what I always think of that guy as.
Oh, yeah.
But fucking, they get Spanky to go to, like, the craps table, and I love how, like, the girls just, like, stand over at the corner, like, oh, well, she's next to a craps table that's not being used, so, whatever, I'm not gonna fucking, it's Reno! You know what I mean? And she's like fucking like yelling. Nobody else is paying any fucking attention. I love the guy who's running the craps table's got like the weirdest voice. He's like, and then, you know, fucking Spanky's over there like listening to like this, you know, 12-year-old girl like tell him how to fucking play craps and whatnot. And then at the end she's like, hey, it's $400, and she just like takes off and she's like, thanks, Spanky. Here's your $5 back. Like, poor Spanky. This guy does so much work for these girls and like, or for these kids, and like in return, like I feel like he's not getting a whole lot. He's getting fucking used.
Yeah. He's like, this little motherfucker. You know, he's just like, I just think of that that whole thing right there of just like, they could have given a little bit more, just a little bit.
You could give him $100 or something. Like shit, you don't need $300. But the other thing I was thinking is, okay, all that money, it's like they just play arcade games, but it's kind of odd because they're going to a regular Nintendo tournament. You think they'd just go out and buy a Nintendo? It's like, shit, like, let's make some fucking money. We'll hustle some money, we'll buy ourselves an NES, you know, and, you know, because an NES was only like $100 back then, you know what I mean? They got fucking $400 or $395 fucking dollars in their pocket from Reno.
But how much would each game cost? Didn't Mario 3, when it came out, cost $100?
Yeah, I think it did actually at that point. So I mean, yeah, granted, I guess probably maybe it is just cheaper to go to the arcades, and for the most part, I think in that day, like Nintendo did make a lot of those arcade cabinets where like it was an NES one and you could just play it there, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Slash, like, you know, like Double Dragon you could find there, and I've never seen a Ninja Gaiden arcade cabinet, but I guess that exists.
You'd be surprised of what exists. I remember one time walking into a Raging Waters and walking into the arcade, and they had Super Mario World cabinet.
Oh, they used to have that at the Round Table in Sonora. Now I'm getting real specific, but they had it was Super Mario, and then it was F-Zero, and I think it was a way to sort of be like, hey kids, here's fucking like the new Super Nintendo games. You could play them here, because it had a weird way. Like you put a quarter in, and you got like, it seemed like you got maybe like 3 minutes to play Mario World. It like literally was the exact game as, you know, on the Super Nintendo. So you're playing it, and you can only get about 3 levels, and then you gotta pop another quarter. And it was like the weirdest kind of way to play it. So I guess if money was no object, you could totally beat Super Mario right there in the arcade.
Yeah. I remember the controller being weird too, because it was like a giant version of the Super Nintendo controller. So it was like almost this. Wouldn't be, your hands wouldn't be as close as they usually would. It would just be like really far apart. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it would. You know, that's one of those controllers. I wish they almost like somebody would resell that, like just for the novelty aspect. You know what I mean? Just that massive fucking the Duke of like Super Nintendo controllers. Like I would love to have that, because I don't know what it is. Like I love giant controllers. To me, I don't even have the biggest hands, but I always feel like the giant controllers are the most comfortable. I love the Duke. I love the Dreamcast controller. I love the Wii U controller. I love the N64 one. Like, all those giant controllers, to me, are always really comfortable. And I just have a fascination with them.
Yeah, I could almost just see that thing being almost... It was almost kind of like the size of like a fighting gamepad, you know?
Yeah, it was, but it was like, yeah, just big old fucking D-pad and like all the buttons and so on. But yeah, that was an interesting arcade cabinet. I always thought that was, even as an 8-year-old kid, you're like, this is kind of fucking weird.
Well, I'll say this, that as that happens, there's a part where he starts chasing them again through the arcade cabinets. And then that's where Jenny Lewis is like, he grabbed my breast! And that's where everyone's just like, what the fuck? Like, oh, that's easy. We should have done that way sooner.
Well, I love how those like Rito police are like, let's get that motherfucker! And they just like chase him down.
Well, the way they carry him off too, because they're like carrying him off like they would like they got like one guy has his, like 2 guys got each leg. One guy's carrying him by the back. They're like, we got you, Piggy! Wee! Yeah, they just carry him off screen.
Like they're gonna put him up for a fucking roast and spin him around like a like a ritual sacrifice and so on. Like, this man, he touched a youth.
And then later, that guy, you just see he's out, and he's soaking his face with a Slurpee at a 7-Eleven. More product placement, but whatever. I think that probably was aimed at kids. 7-Eleven had to be like paradise back in like late 80s, early 90s to kids.
Shit,
because that's where they had video game cabinets.
7-Eleven was fucking paradise for me in like the 90s. I just remember like it's the glorious place I would go to, and I would, on the fucking back of Nerds boxes, they would have those like when they had the Marvel versus DC cards and so on, they had the X-Men stuff there, and then they had like all the N64 fucking toys, or like the plush animals that you'd kind of get. Like they had the Mario 64 one, the Donkey Kong one, the Yoshi and the Bowser. You know, they had fucking arcade cabinets in there. It's where you'd buy fucking Pokemon cards at. Like 7-Eleven, like that's what it was. Like someone might say it's product placement, but it's like, no, at the fucking end of the day, 7-Eleven was the fucking shit.
That's what made sense. Well, it made sense to advertise out to kids back in the 80s and 90s, because like everything you named off, that was like, I guarantee you, 7-Eleven in Twain Hart was always jam packed after school.
Well, yeah, it was totally, literally, the bus stop was at 7-Eleven. Isn't that kind of ironic?
Yeah, so,
you know what I mean?
Like, kids, now that you're out of school, go get cranked up on sugar and caffeine, and maybe wait 2 hours in front for someone to buy you cigarettes.
But it's one of those ones, like, you think about 7-Eleven, at least, was like one of those places, it was like that few places that you could kind of find, like, that sick merchandise that you almost couldn't get just anywhere else. You know, like, shit, I remember finding, like, Spice Girls merchandise there. I was like, dude, fucking Spice Girls, lollipops and so on, this is fucking badass. You know, you don't think about it, but it's like, oh, this is so cool. Like, where else are you going to find this stuff at? I mean, even now, I remember, like, they had the fucking Detective Pikachu tie-ins there at 7-Eleven. I was like, fucking A. Like, why not? I'm gonna live this up like it's fucking 1998 again.
They're the N64 plushies for a period of time.
Yeah, those things were amazing. Then there was a second wave. I never got the second wave for some reason, but I have the first wave.
But anyway, so eventually they end up going to Universal Studios to the video game Armageddon thing. And by there, that's where all parties converge and finally meet. And that's where they get... Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I love how, like, there's a part where, like the wife and, like, you know, the yuppie new husband's there, and it almost feels like they're just, like, on vacation at Universal Studios, and they bump into, like, the child finder, whatnot, like, you know, balding guy, and he's like, hey, guess what, your kids are here. He's like, really? They happen to be here? Oh, I just came down to see, you know, what the new Back to the Future ride was gonna be like.
I did this for my lunch break. I took my private helicopter.
Yeah, like, oh, I was just on vacation. I thought you would have captured him by now. You said you'd get him in 2 hours. It's been 9 fucking days, you know what I mean? Like, this kid's worth money to me. I'm trading him in, you know? I got a stock trade going on down with my pal for this one. They're into weird kids like this, you know what I mean? Shit, Tom Cruise sold his brother off the other day.
And then from there, it just becomes this once again this chase of that dude chase him through the theme park. You know, they cut through the ride. I thought it was kind of funny is they're like cutting through the ride where it almost because like we're gonna go through different movie sets, folks, and you go through like the standard stuff, and then you go through Jaws, and then you go through King Kong and all that. Mm-hmm. I thought it was funny. From there, Beau Bridges, Christian Slater start physically fighting that guy who's been tracking down the kids the whole time and get into a fist fight. And I like how the movie's not jam-packed with swearing. For being a PG movie, it has a surprising amount of swearing. I like how the guy running the tour is just like, please, everyone, just calm the hell down. Just sit down and enjoy. He's just losing his shit.
It's supposed to be fucking fun. You know, he doesn't say fucking, but it's just like, he's just like, it's fun. It's fun, damn it. Learn to have fun.
Like, I'm going to say the last probably 20 minutes of this movie, and there's a few little wacky parts throughout the movie, but the last 20 minutes is kind of where it gets a little wackier, almost kind of like a Nickelodeon movie, just because they're at Universal Studios, combined with the show host, and combined with the antics that they kind of get into with the guy who's tracking down the kids. But granted, there's no moment where someone gets slimed, or someone, like, you know, like, slips and falls in dog shit or anything like that, but
there is that weird guy though. It's like in the background at fucking Universal Studios, and he's doing like the fucking orangutan walk, but it's like he has no costume on or anything like that. Like, who the fuck is that guy? Like, is that what entertainment was at Universal Studios in '89? Like, well, we got the guy. He does the fucking orangutan walk around you while you eat ice cream. Like, oh, that's fucking weird. Like, does he throw shit at me too? Like, I'm like, I don't want that to happen.
Well, it's from a movie no one remembers, so we just, I don't know. It's one of those, we haven't got a placeholder for it yet.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? And I think, you know, you said it's a movie that no one remembers. I think that's the reason why that we didn't get to see this movie as kids, is because I felt like it was one of those movies that just sort of came out, and then they're like, oh, it didn't do good enough. Let's just, like, fucking forget about it. And it's like, that movie, it's just like that Mario Brothers cartoon anime that we watched. If you would have just sold it to us 90s audience, because that's the thing, is like this movie, it's like, I know it's made for technically the 80s kid. It's made for in a sense, realistically, it's the generation of video game players right before our generation of video game players, which I always consider kind of phase 2. You know what I mean? You know, phase 1 being sort of the Atari arcade generation, phase 2 being pretty much the NES generation, and then phase 3 being kind of the Sega kids on it up, and we don't need to go farther than that, but I feel like these are those kind of things that they just really should have resold a couple more times over, because I think the true audience for this, once again, was just a handful of years off. You know, at the end of the day, it was totally us. If you would have re-released this movie right alongside of fucking Super Mario Brothers, I kid you not, like, even if it was just like, hey, it's coming back fucking on VHS, get your dick ready, you know what I mean? Like,
the Wizard's coming to Blu-ray, get your dick ready.
Well, that time it'd be like, the Wizard's coming to Laserdisc, get your rich friend to go out and get it for you. Because shit, we know you ain't got one.
You have to go to your Lucas friend. You gotta go to the kid with the power glove. He can afford the Laserdisc.
Exactly. That kid would have had it. But, and I kid you not, though, this is one of those movies, though. I think that was the thing, is it just kind of came and went. And man, if we would have fucking had that, like, I think that would have turned the tide. Because it's like, oh, dude, that was the audience it was totally made for. Where I think a lot of times the 80s kid was almost getting to, like, that fucking John Connor state. Like, the kids are fucking into Nintendo. Like, I was into fucking guns and Mexicans when I was growing up.
Well, no, that's the thing of, like, that was the one thing, because they had product placement with Atari throughout those, and Atari even made some of the Terminator games as time went on. So I'm just wondering if, like, those things like, all right, if you want product placement with Atari, you got to talk shit on Nintendo at some point.
Yeah, you fucking show some like fucking like Missile Command in there too. Show that explosion scene.
If he's gonna hack this thing, can he hack with an Atari? Cool. All right.
Yeah, exactly. I remember the guy who made Missile Command was like, he's like, shit, that was fucking sick when I saw like my Missile Command explosion end scene at the fucking in Terminator 2. Like, I was fucking stoked. Life complete. But yeah, you know what I mean? Because it's like, even in this movie, it's supposed to, like, you think Nintendo for everything, but it's like, I mean, granted, these are Nintendo games, but it's still got like a lot of other stuff. It's got fucking Rad Racer from Squaresoft. It's got fucking Ninja Gaiden in there from Tecmo. You got Double Dragon from Data East. You know, they do focus, I mean, on like, it's not just all straight up Nintendo.
Yeah. I mean, granted, you say that to a parent, like, oh, well, it's not Nintendo. It's actually Namco. Like, whatever. It's on the fucking thing. It's
really?
all
Shut
the same shit.
Up. Get me a beer, goddammit.
So, but as they go on, you know, they have their whole competition, and of course, Jimmy ends up winning, and out of that, they end up having the whole part where they're all dreaming, like, all right, we won, but now it's over, and you find out the only reason why Jimmy wanted to go to California in the first place was because that was the last time he and his twin sister and the whole family were there and were happy together, and they took a picture by a dinosaur, and so
that
and
dinosaur
that's where,
from Pee-wee's Big Adventure as well too.
Yeah, and they also have they don't have the whole thing where the mom suddenly says to the yuppie like husband, you know what? It's just not working out. I want to get back to my family. They don't go to that Disney level, but they do go to the level of like, you know what? Maybe I can start being a better mom, and you could spend more time with your brothers since they kind of get you more, and I don't have to hear you talk about California all the time. So go for it. And
you remember how your sister fucking died? Well, here you go. Here's your new sister. We're taking her back to Utah anyways.
Yeah,
your brother might try to fuck her, but you know what I mean? It's all in the family, so it's okay.
The older brother, I'm not going to lie, I wasn't looking for it, but I noticed there's a part where, I'm guessing he was just given some direction, he didn't know what to do. Because, you know, the girl, Jenny Lewis, she's just there to witness all this family stuff that she almost kind of heard about, like, third hand. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, okay, I'm just sort of here. And then, like, and all that stuff's going on, like, you know, everything's like, oh, we're all happy. And, like, Christian Slater, who had no connection to her earlier on in the movie, has his hand around her like, yeah, okay. And then, and as they're moving along, he's kind of, like, shoving her with his arm. Like, he's like, I don't know what to do. She wants to, I want to feel part of the moment.
Well, it's even like, it just feels like, because that movie, like, it's like, I mean, granted, you assume that they go, like, okay, maybe they're just taking her back to her Reno home or whatnot. But, like, they're just kind of driving off being, like, almost like, hey, Fred Savage, you got yourself a wife. That's even earlier than I did. Shit, I met your first mom at, you know, age 12 at the coal mines of Utah. You know, but shit, you found her on a fucking video game adventure. That's a great story. Come on, let's get you married. Well, where are we gonna get married at? Yeah, Utah. You can do whatever you want. Many wives as you want.
Or in Reno, we could find an Elvis chapel somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Because that's just sort of what it feels like. Hey, let's take her home. Shit, maybe she can cook for us. I don't know. She's a woman, right? Yeah, it just doesn't work. Just because they're a woman doesn't work that way. I don't fucking know. I've been fucking landscaping my whole life. That's all I know.
I just know shovels and dirt.
Yeah.
Are you challenging me, boy? You want to settle this with a shovel fight?
Yeah. That's how me and your grandpappy used to settle things. The day I finally won was the last day he was alive.
Side of my shovel, we're going right into his jugular. Yeah.
I buried him right there on the spot. You know, and that was a story he said about his grandpa. That was the day it ended. It's a family fucking tradition to finally kill your father one day at the hands of a shovel.
You know that big tree in the backyard? Guess what's underneath it?
It's literally our family tree. That tree absorbs our fucking bodies and grows bigger each year.
One day I'll be there. One day you will be there too.
So, Jenny, how do you like the family? Can you make a casserole? Because that's what you'll be doing when we get home.
God knows I sure as shit can. Can't.
But I think it is like one of those ones, because she sort of is there, just like, you think about, like, what the fuck are you doing? Just taking her fucking home? I don't know what's going on. It's that, because you're supposed to get $25,000. She's like, hey, so my dad can fucking buy a real house, because I don't want him living in it. Even though he lives in, like Al says, he lives in, like, the best trailer you could possibly have. They're, like, out in the middle of fucking...
It's a very nice trailer and a very cool spot of land.
Yeah, it's like, fucking, like, I don't know what you're bitching about. Like, shit, like, that's... You know what I mean? Like, if it was, like, in a trailer park and it was all run down and there was just, like, some, like, lady with, like, you know, saggy, like, tits just, like, hanging outside smoking cigarettes, putting it out and, like, fighting your face and whatnot, and you're like, oh, get away from me, oh! And then just some big fat guy, like, named Bubba just kind of, like, strolling around, you know, and he's like, oh, I forgot my pants again. You know, maybe that would be fucking, like, traumatizing, but it's like, I look at that, I'm like, dude, that piece of property you have, I kid you not, you fucking hold on to that property, it's gonna be fucking worth a lot of money. You may not think you're worth a lot now, but you hold on to that one.
Give it a few years.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? But
no, I'm assuming they're going to drop her off at the end, but who knows? I'm guessing that maybe a long-term friendship sparks out of that and pen pals or whatever. But no, it's a good movie. It's not one of these movies that I'm not going to say it's not everyone's going to love it, but it's a fun movie. And if you like, it's kind of like what this whole month is. If you like old retro video games, it's an interesting part of old retro video game history.
Yeah, and it's one of those movies, to me, it feels like, yeah, it's not a movie for everybody, but for, like, if you're that hardcore retro gamer of ye olden days, like, that's why I think this movie resonates with so much. Like, it reminds us of, like, almost that time of, like, full-on adventure, of, you know, mysteries and discovery, and the fact that, like, of just being able to see, like, a fucking video game, like, in a movie, and you just be like, because, I mean, that was the thing, is, like, any little glimpse you had of someone they could be playing a video game fucking wrong, but if they're playing a video game in a movie, you're like, get the fuck out. It's like Back to the Future, like when he's fucking playing like the whatever that Nintendo game is. I'm trying to blank on its name right now, but whatever.
Paperboy?
No.
Playing Paperboy?
Paperboy's an Atari game. No, he's playing the shooting game, the Wild West game, and I'm trying to...
Oh, right. But I remember being a Paperboy game at some point in like whatever. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, Paperboy, yeah, too. Like, that's what I mean. Like, whenever you just see those moments. I mean, even like Terminator 2. I remember when I saw that fucking arcade in there. It's just like, dude, it's so fucking sick. Even though it's kind of weird that in 1995 they're still playing fucking old games, but that's okay. Because it's like, and that's always the weird thing about Terminator 2. It's like, the movie's made in 1991, but it's supposed to be 1995 is when it takes place in.
Oh, it is supposed to be 1995?
Yeah, because John Connor's 10 years old, and
Oh, right.
Or technically, I guess you'd say, yeah, 1995 or 94 or whatever, but yeah, that's what it's supposed to be. It doesn't ever say it in the movie, but, like, you can put that together based on his age. But, you know, just something like The Wizard. The Wizard represents just, like, seeing these games. Like, and it's like one of those ones, like, I kid you not, it's one of those movies, like, even when I saw it as a teenager, I was still, like, mind blown. I was like, Nintendo Power, why did it take you so long to tell me fucking about this again? Like, why did you, like, hide this away like a fucking locked... Because, you know, once again, this is back in the olden days when things were just... It felt like this movie was just kind of locked up and just, like, they didn't speak of it for a long time. And then it finally kind of came back. And, I mean, like, knowing that there's that Blu-ray special edition out there and everything, too, it's like, I think I'm going to have to get that pretty darn soon. I mean, why not? Especially if they got bonus extra footage of, like, all kinds of stuff in there. Who knows? Maybe there's other games that they never showed. I don't know. But,
yeah, maybe.
But just that mystery.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, just that kind of mystery of, like, what else could there have been?
We talked about this a long time ago, but I think we should, since we're finally doing a retrospect on this movie, we should talk about it. To close out with, before we were talking about an idea for, like, you know, it was right when they're doing, like, Batman v Superman. They just announced Batman v Superman, then Captain America Civil War, all this. Like, man, they're getting ready for all these crossover movies. What's the next big crossover movie? We were throwing them out there. And we're like, what about Rain Man versus the Wizard? And we came out with this whole plot where it's basically high stakes Mortal Kombat tournament, because you almost have to be like have autism or like that Rain Man level kind of ability to memorize all these different combos. And it's so Christian Slater, basically, you know, it's years later, he's got like a drug problem, so does Tom Cruise for Rain Man. And they both put their brothers through this high stakes
like Mortal Kombat 3 tournament, because it's just like it's like 5 years later or whatever.
And it's just the idea of just trying to pitch it to a studio. Like, what do you got? Like, well, we got a crossover. Like, is it one that people have been asking for? Not at all, but we still think it has a chance.
We think it has potential.
Rain Man versus the Wizard. I remember coming up with the idea that, like, the last battle of the movie, so it comes down to, like, the Rain Man and the Wizard both playing the video game, and by this point, Christian Slater and Tom Cruise are both fighting in real life, like, somehow at a construction site, and it's, like, a parallel scene to what's going on, parallel action. And I remember Tom Cruise lost, and he gets, like, uppercutted down into the spikes.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those ones, like, I still want to see that. Like, I don't know, because it's like, both of those movies to me are great fucking movies. It's just like, they kind of work, because they're all in the same kind of category, and I could totally see that, like, fucking, like, we gotta fucking trade them off, you know what I mean? Like, come on, like, one more fucking tournament, man. One more tournament. Shut the fuck up about California. We're going to Texas this time.
Going to El Paso. And if shit goes really bad, Tijuana.
Yeah, exactly. And when fucking Tom Cruise is dead, we're going to fucking Tijuana for sure. Didn't mean to uppercut him that way, and then I threw a fucking barrel at him. We were at a construction site. It just felt natural.
I was just thinking, like, God, I'd love to see that crossover movie. The one, like the Rain Man versus the Wizard.
I feel like that would be so sick. I don't know. It's just those kind of things. You know what's the other weird thing I think about, like, the Wizard? Just kind of like that, like, there is almost so little of there's movies out there that kind of, like, actually have sort of video games that sort of, like, like, almost like, not like it's a video game movie like Super Mario Brothers or Tomb Raider, but I mean, like, a game that, like, hey, it has video games kind of in it. Because I think about, like, and throughout time, like, what is there? There's fucking, like, the Wizard. Then there was, like, Grandma's Boy, because that's what made Grandma's Boy such a big movie, too. It's like, oh, fuck, they put fucking video games in there? I remember, like, the weed thing, I remember kind of threw me off at first. I was like, oh, I guess you could combine weed with video games? Like, that sounds, it just felt like that, like was ones, like, never even crossed my mind. Like, people fucking play video games and smoke pot? Oh, okay. I mean, that's fucking weird.
Now it's very common, but at the time,
now
I guess
it's
you're
very
like...
common. It's like, I was like, what? I guess maybe if you were, like, at that age and, like, you're like, I'll get fucking high and play video games. But I think it's like fucking teenagers. You're like, what? Fuck, that's what you do? Like, I guess because everybody that played video games is like, somehow, some way, it's like that made them, like, much more, like, sober and anti-drugs without really even saying. It's like, I got my drugs, man. Call it fucking Sega. What do you got? But then it's like that, and then it's like, you know,
it's like those 90s commercials, like, video games, my anti-drug.
Yeah, exactly. Like, well, those are, I guess those commercials worked really well, because obviously it kept us all away from it at that time. But, and then it's like, yeah, then, like, Ready Player One, you know, you think about it, it's like, there's so very little of those kind of, like, you know, movies out there. And I don't know why. It's like, it's one of those ones, like, you know, I mean, probably if, you know, you looked hard enough, there's probably a couple other things here. And I mean, you could say kind of Tron's like a proto one, too. And, some other things like that, but for the most part, it's like, it's one of those ones, like, for as many video game movies there is, there's not a whole lot of movies that are about kind of like, hey, here's people that play video games.
Yeah, I think it's becoming more common recently, and maybe not just strictly movies, but shows about it and whatnot. I mean, I don't remember what it was called, but I remember it was like something on Netflix came out. It was like more of the dramatic, serious, artsier version of Ready Player One. I didn't finish it because it wasn't really clicking. But it was basically trying to be like they're using this video game as an escape, and it was kind of like Ready Player One in that aspect. But then it felt a little pretentious. And this is one guy. He's just like, these idiots come to this here to play these games and for simple thrills. We're here looking to expand our minds. And like, oh, fuck off, asshole. You know, it's like, oh, so you guys can talk philosophy and just float around on, like, you know, as an avatar? Fuck off. I'd rather go fight with a fucking jet.
Yeah, that sounds good. Because that's always the kind of the hard part is like, and that's where I feel like why the Wizard kind of works is even though it's like one of those ones, like literally like one of the first out the door fucking video game movies ever made, it's also one of those ones I felt like it just sort of gets it. Like, it gets, like, the feel of, like, hey, it makes it feel real. It never feels like, hey, we're shoehorning this in, or we're trying to make up stuff that doesn't make any sense that, you know, people would never have fucking said, like, when playing video games or what have you. But, I don't know. It's one of those movies, every time I throw it on, it's always, like, one of those things. It's like, always have a good time. It takes me back to that time period, though I technically watched it later in life. It always takes me back to, like, I feel like I'm sitting there, like, shit, I could throw on Three Ninjas right afterwards. Like, you know where you were at that time. Let's boot up the fucking Sega Genesis. Though I know it's, like, a Nintendo movie, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, it takes you to, like, that kind of, like, late 80s, early 90s era of being, like, hanging out, fucking playing video games, and fucking hustling to fucking live. You know what I mean? Because that's how that movie is. It's, like, really sounds weird, but, like, that's what... So they fucking cross-country... by fucking hustling people at, like, arcades at the end of the day. And, like, most of the time it never works out for them. Because there's even that one part where it's, like, it's kind of weird. They're, like, in the back of, like, you know, like, a truck, and they got a bunch of farmers in the front, and there's, like, cows and so on. It's like, oh, good, these good farmers and whatnot. And then, like, the farmers literally, like, look back, and there's, like, looks in his rearview mirror, he's like, Get the
They
fuck
got
out.
$82.
Yeah, it's like the kids barely have any money. And they get out, they like just start like fucking punching these kids. Like, give me your fucking money, kids. I want that fucking $100. It's just like, could you imagine beating a fucking kid up for like $100? It's not. If the kid maybe had like $50,000 or $20,000, I could get it. You know what I mean? But like literally, the kids barely got $100 in their fucking hands, and you're like, fuck these kids. Like, yeah, we gave them a fucking ride for a bit, but you know what? They told us they had no money. Those fucking lying cheats.
Yeah, that part, I forgot to mention that part. Yeah, that's, but regardless, I guess they needed one more obstacle to overcome, but...
Well, because there's that, and then I think there's the part where, like, they hustle, like, the fucking teenagers, and I always feel like that's the scene that, like, if that was a radar movie, would go so dark, because they're out, like, fucking walking in, like, this abandoned movie theater, like, a drive-in movie theater, and all of a sudden, because for some reason the girl knows, like, all these, like, she's like, I know all these places you can fucking, like, sleep for the fucking night, you know what I mean? Like,
the homeless don't know about it yet.
Yeah, like, wrecking yards, abandoned movie theaters, and so on. They're just, like, hanging out at these places, but, like, those teenagers fucking show up, and it's just like, you look at that, you go, like, God, this is one of those movies, like, if this was a different type of movie, it would go sour so first, but these things like, we're gonna rape all fucking three of you. Yeah, we don't fucking care. We're fucking teenagers. We fuck anything. Be like, oh God, they'll give us your fucking money, too.
That could have gone, like, tragic art school film very quickly.
Yeah, just had, like, some fucking 10-minute long scene of fucking Lucas getting, like, raped. You're like, why is this in this movie? Why am I watching this? Be like, because what happens out on the road stays on the road.
Now you gotta know why. Video games are an escape.
Believe me, we're teenagers in some small town of fucking Nevada. We don't know any better.
Well, thankfully that does not happen in the movie.
They just fucking punch fucking Fred Savage in the face and take their money. They got off pretty fucking easy, I'll have to say.
I do wish something bad happened to that. The most that happens is, like, Beau Bridges comes across one of them, sees he's wearing, like, the his landscaping hat, and grabs the kid by the collar. But that's the worst thing that happens. Like, I wanted him to fuck one of those kids up, but yeah, whatever. Can't always win.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's like, I don't know, some fucking kids gave it to me. Well, old man.
That's where you just cut to the kid being thrown through a window.
Yeah, it's like one of those scenes where it's just like there's a pause for a second on the outside, all of a sudden just whoosh. Fucking waitress looks over for a second and then goes back to whatever she was doing.
Just another day in this bumfuck Nevada town.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I think about this movie. It's like, it just feels like it's a very like Nevada movie. I feel like you don't get enough of those Nevada like strictly movies.
This is a Western now, you don't really.
Yeah, exactly. That's definitely true. You know, because really most of it takes place. Shit, even I feel like they're like in Utah for like a moment, but then it feels like they're in Nevada most of the time, and then all of a sudden they end up in California. California. And once we go there, we figure out that, hey, you know what? This is the last time we were happy was with a fucking dinosaur. You know what I mean? And this is where I'll leave her fucking ashes right here. Like, is that what he's been carrying around, that fucking lunch pail the whole time?
It wasn't her ashes. It was like a picture of her.
It was pictures. I mean, funny if those like teenagers when they're like, "Come on, man, give me his fucking lunch pail. He's probably got fucking drugs in there." Like, dude, he's fucking like 8 years old. He's like, I fucking know. I'm a fucking teenager. I don't know any better. I assume drugs are hidden everywhere.
He just opened it, just a bunch of ash and Matchbox toys fall out.
He's like, "What the fuck is this? I don't know, dude. Sniff it." Just starts snorting the fucking ash. He's like, "Oh, dude, I think I'm getting fucking high." Dude, you want to go slap dicks together? Yeah, let's go do it. Hey, dude, turn that movie on while we do it, too. Yeah, fuck it. Look, it's Night of the Living Dead on there. Yeah, fuck it. Oh, God, these fucking...
It's not gay because we're high.
God, these teenage boys. Jesus Christ. Hey, whatever. Fuck you. This is fun in Nevada.
That seems about as any good a point to cut it off.
Would that shock you, though, as a kid, though? Would you be like, shit, I don't know if I want to go to Nevada now if that's... If they really reference Nevada like even more often in there and be like, hey, this is what fucking teenage boys in Nevada do. We get fucking high off ashes and slap dicks together. I think it's...
The nicest boy is some privileged little prick with a mullet and a power glove.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that would scare you from Nevada almost. And like as a kid, I thought Nevada was fucking sick. I even did like a state project on it.
Maybe. I don't know. I probably would have forgot. Where's that again? I don't remember.
Yeah. When they show Super Mario Brothers 3 in there? Oh yeah, that part's sick.
Was that Nevada? Sure. Okay, let's go.
Yeah, whatever. But yeah, the wizard. totally fun. I guess that kind of ends our hashtag Mario May good old times, because by this point we'll be at the end of the month and so on. But yeah, I suppose I know it's like most movies where it's like, well, it doesn't seem like it's not like filled with Mario, but like for the fact that it just kind of like drops Mario 3 in there at the end, and of course you get Mario 2 and whatnot.
They reference Mario a couple times. He's on the poster. Yeah,
that to me feels like it's pretty fucking big deal. You know what I mean? It's like kind of like a Nintendo-related film, I guess you would just say. But yeah, for anybody who's like, you know, a hardcore gamer, retro gamer, you know, you're into game history and so on, if you've never seen this movie, because granted, I assume a lot of people just never have. Once again, it's never been advertised very well. I think it's one of the ones like, you could have resold this so many times in life. You know, you could have resold it like in the first, you know, when Mario Brothers and Double Dragon and Mortal Kombat came out, you could have so resold it right then real good. You could have really sold it again when like Tomb Raider and Final Fantasy Spirits Within and Resident Evil came out. I know it sounds kind of weird, but like that audience right there that went to go see all those movies would have fucking dug into this movie if they never saw it before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it's kind of got a little bit. I've heard it come up in conversation more frequently over the past 10 years. So you know, it's one of those things. It still holds some kind of cult following. So, and I think that now kids. I mean, I'm not sure where this one stands with them. I don't talk to them, but I could see it also being like kids love 80s shit now. So you know.
Well, yeah, any retro gaming kid out there would totally like go for this. You know, I mean, this would be like the one. I mean, it'd be no different than like when we find fucking like old shit where you're like, oh, dude, if you fucking seen the Beatles fucking Help, like that. I guess that's kind of like us going that far back would be like, oh, dude, the fucking Help's like one of the greatest, you know, comedies ever made. Plus, it's got Beatles music in it. Like that would be like what like a retro kid nowadays, I guess, would be like of 80s shit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, other than that fun stuff, you can go to oldmanorange.com for more comics, podcasts, comics like Pizza Boys, old animations, and all the other fun stuff we have. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunnigan.
And we'll see you some other time.
Later, folks.
Thanks again for listening to the Old Man Orange podcast. Sure, check out oldmanorange.com for more podcasts, cartoons, music, animation, and a whole lot more. We also have the Old Man Orange blog going with all kinds of fun stuff. If you easily want to support the show, use one of our Amazon links either on the website or in the description of the podcast below. Rate, review, and subscribe to the show either on Podbean, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Newgrounds, or anywhere else that you seem to get this podcast from. Grab the sitcom-styled comic book Pizza Boys on either Comic Central, Comixology, or Amazon. Want more podcasts? Check out the Indie Comics Club over at Comic Central. I also got a workout website called Thor's Hidden Gym, filled with fitness tips and tricks, videos, and a whole lot more fun stuff in the calisthenics world. Talk to us on Twitter at Spencer S. Holmes and Dunnigan Ryan. Like our Facebook pages of Old Man Orange Productions and Pizza Boys Comic. Thanks again, we're out of here.